Hi everybody, so this is 11.3. We're just reviewing multiplication and division, solving for variables, and then graphing your answer on a number line. So if we go ahead and we take a look at number 1 here, we've got 3 times n, which is 3n, equals 9. The first thing that we need to think about is getting the variable by itself. So when I do that, I'm going to divide by 3 because my goal is to get these 3's to cancel out. And I'm left with n on the left side of my equation. On the right side of my equation, I need to do the same thing so that the equation is balanced. So I'm going to divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So therefore, n equals 3. Now I need to go ahead and graph on the number line. So I'm going to write that my solution was 3. Graphing on the number line, I've got positive 3, and I'm just going to draw a dot right at that 3. That's how I'm graphing. Alrighty, let's move on to the next one. For this one, I've got n over 2 equals 4. Same thing here, get the variable by itself. Now, when you see this bar here, you need to recognize that that is division. This fraction has a division bar. In order to get that n by itself, I need to do the opposite operation, which is multiplication. So I'm going to use a dot for multiplication. And I need to get that 2 to cancel out. So I'm just left with n on that side of the equation. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1. Something to remember is that with those variables, they automatically have a 1 in front of them, an imaginary 1. So now that I know this info, I could cross cancel my 2's and I could cross cancel my 1's. So on my left side, I'm left with just n. Whatever I do to the left side of the equation, I have to do to the right side. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1, which is the same thing as whole number 2. Multiply straight across the top and the bottom. 4 times 2 is 8 over 1, which gives us the whole number 8. So n equals 8. I'm going to write that under my solution. How could I check my work? I could plug 8 in for n over 2. Well, does 8 divided by 2 equal 4? Yes, so I know my answer is correct. I'm just now realizing that I didn't go back and check my answer for the previous problem. I could go 3 times 3 equals 9. Substituting in my 3 for my n. Does 3 times 3 equal 9? Yes, it does. Therefore, you know you've got the correct answer. All right, we need to graph this n equals 8. It is a positive number, so I'm going to go out to my positive 8 and make my dot. And that was our review for 11.3. Okay, moving on to 11.4, a little bit more difficult. We had inequalities. So this is actually from your practice workbook. So if you have your practice workbook available, you can go ahead and pull it out and do this actually with me. So I'll give you a sec to get out your workbook. If you have your notes with you, this is a great time to have your notes open in front of you with your greater than and less than signs. Also your notes on which ones are open circle and which are closed circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a note up at the top here. Reviewing our symbols, we've got the less than sign. We have greater than. And then we've got less than or equal to. And then we've got greater than or equal to. There we go. I could barely fit it on the page. Something else to remember with these. Less than and greater than are going to be open circle when graphing. And less than or equal to and greater than or equal to are both going to be closed circle when graphing. So I just made a note on my page so I have that to reference through as I work on these problems. So let's look at number 1. We've got A is greater than 3. Nothing needs to be solved here. I'm just completing the graph for each inequality. So I've got positive 3. I've got open circle. Now, which way does my arrow point? Our arrow always points in the direction that the back is pointing. So therefore, my arrow would go to the right. Let's look at number 2. R is less than or equal to negative 2. They've already plotted a closed circle at negative 2 here. They just need me to draw the arrow in the direction that it's pointing. There we go. For 3, 4, and 5, we're going to be graphing these solutions. So we've got W is greater than or equal to 0. So I'm going to make my number line. And then I graph right at 0. Next, I need to do my arrow pointing to the right. There I go. Next, I've got B is less than or equal to negative 4. Here I go making my number line. All right, go out to negative 4. There it is. And because it is a less than or equal to, it's a closed circle. And my arrow points to the left, always following the back of that inequality symbol. Where is the back of it pointing? All right, last one I've got A is less than 1.5. So 1.5 on my graph is going to be in between 1 and 2 is where I'm going to put my plot. So here I go. So here I go, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my negatives. A is less than 1.5, and it is positive right there in between 1 and 2. And my arrow is going to point in the direction of the point, going left. Next, we have write an inequality that represents each phrase, and then draw a graph. So the sum. Sum tells us that it's going to be addition. So I'm going to just put my plus sign right there to remember. The sum of 1 and x is less than, there's my less than symbol, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and write it out. 1 plus x is less than 5. So first step, I need to isolate my variable, get it by itself. In order to do that, I need to subtract 1 on both sides of the inequality. Now I can get my 1's to cancel out, and I'm left with x on my left side. I now have x is less than 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. And I'm running out of space, so I'm going to do this on my left-hand side here. X is less than 4. Last step is that I need to go ahead and graph. I am kind of running out of space at the bottom, so I will try my best to squeeze this in. Go ahead and make your number line. And I am out of space here at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and make my tick marks. This should be open circle. because it is a less than symbol, open circle, an arrow pointing to the left. All right, that's it for number 6. Let's move on to number 7. We have 3 is less than, so less than symbol, y minus 2. Minus using the minus symbol. Here we go writing it out. 3 less than symbol, variable y minus 2. First step, I need to get this y by itself, so I'm going to add 2 on both sides of my inequality. Now I've got my 2's to cancel out, and 3 plus 2 on the left side is 5. I've got 5 is less than y. Something that we need to notice here, though, is that it's not in proper form for graphing. If you remember from our notes yesterday, we need to actually flip this around. Add this part to your notes. The variable must be on the left side in order to graph properly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. I'm going to put my variable on the left side. So I've got y is greater than 5. Notice the mouth is still open towards the y as it was in the previous inequality. So I'm keeping the symbol open towards the y. All right, guys, and that was it for 11.4. Good luck on the quiz.